I think it's a girl.
Okay, Pops thinks girl. Tutu?
Boy.
Boy? Jill?
Boy.
Boy.
I'm always wrong though.
Okay. Well, that would make you right, so I hope so. What do you think it is?
Boy.
Boy. Hi, Mama. What do you think it is?
Girl.
Girl.
Hey everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a wonderful day. It's Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022. There's been so much to talk about with the sister wives. I haven't had a lick of time to even think about the Duggars, but a lot has been going on and I want to catch you up on all things happening with the Duggars because Anna Duggar Forsyth has posted a video for her gender reveal, which had some of you like messaging me a lot because Jill Dillard was there with her boys and in the same vicinity as her father, Jim Bob. And then on top of that, yesterday, Miss Joy did a Q&A where she basically shouted out Jinger and made a statement about Ginger's new book, which a lot of people were kind of surprised by. Then on top of that, Jill Duggar used her brother, one of her brothers, to actually put in a backsplash, shocker. And then on top of that, Josh Duggar's appeal brief we got a response today from the US government. So there's been so much going on. I don't even know where to start. Let's dive into this the Duggar dilemma, the Duggar drama, the Duggar tea. Before we dive into today's topic, can you do me a big favor? And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please consider subscribing. We are almost at our goal of 300,000 subscribers by the end of this year. And I might have to increase that because this is going so well and it's so awesome to see so many of you here. But please click that button on the way out if you haven't yet. Also ring the bell by clicking the bell and you'll get notified of when new content loads. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up and leave some comments if you have something to say. I want to just flat out apologize. This channel has changed quite a bit. A lot of you have been so used to getting 3 to 4 videos or 3 videos a day from me for a long time. And obviously the last few months I've cut back because I've had to do longer videos, which takes more time to edit when I cover the sister wives. And then there's constant like influx of sister wives content, which makes it so hard to keep up with the latest. And because so many of you are watching the season unfold and the family implode, it's been hard to document every single thing and then still stick with the Duggars. And I've also have a kid back in school and life has just gotten so busy. So we are gonna not always be the first to report stuff, but we'll try our best to always be accurate. So let's talk about this gender reveal. First of all, gender reveals to me are not super exciting news. When it comes to the Duggars, we know they're gonna have a lot of kids. We know there's gonna be 1 million of them. We know that they're gonna either have a boy or a girl, and it's just another way to make content. Now, what part of me is happy that, right, she's happy for Joy because she's pregnant and she's having a baby. And then the other part of me is like, you're making your kids your content, you're doing what your parents did, so I get a little bit disappointed. And the other part of me is like, well, you have to make money, so you're doing this for your family. It's like this double-edged sword, right? And then on top of that, I'm always trying to determine the motives. Like, are you doing this because you want to? Is this Jim Bob directed? But I have a good sense that what Joy is doing is just because Joy wants to make some money on social media and maybe share her story. Because she actually posted something yesterday about Ginger's book, which wasn't really what I was expecting. So in her gender reveal, she's having a boy. What everyone can't stop talking about is that Jill Duggar was there, Dillard, with her boys, and she was in very close proximity to Jim Bob.
I think it's a girl.
Okay, Pops thinks girl. Tutu?
Boy.
Boy? Jill?
Boy.
Boy.
I'm always wrong though.
Okay. Well, that would make you right, so I hope so. What do you think it is?
Boy.
Boy. Hi, Mama. What do you think it is?
Girl.
Girl.
What other people can't stop talking about is that Jessa wasn't there, or some of the brothers weren't there, like Jeremiah and Jed and their wives. Josiah wasn't there. People were like trying to say who's not there, who's there, but most of the talk was like, holy moly, Jill's there. Let's just say I'm not surprised that Jill is there, because flat out, Jill's the kind of girl that's going to go and be there for her siblings regardless of what's going on with her parents. Jill does not have the most cordial relationship with her family. She's not like in the best place with her father, but for her own statements in her deposition, even last year, she said that she was on fine terms with her mom. She didn't have a lot of resentment towards her mom. It was mostly with her father. And when it comes to Joyanna, no one should be surprised that Jill would show up for something for Joy. In fact, I think this is a really big step for Joy to even invite Jill to come to this event, because Jill was Joy's buddy. She was like Jill's mom. Jill was Joy's mom. So of course Jill will want to be there for her sister. And I have the sense that Jill is adult enough to be in the same room with someone at an event and not pick a fight and be able to have a conversation. You know, when you have a family and you have family dynamics and people don't get along, sometimes you have to be in the same room with people that you don't get along with it, right? It doesn't mean you're suddenly best friends or you're suddenly going to forget about the past, but you know, Jill wants to be there for her sister, so she's there. I think that's all you need to really think about, right? That's all there is to it. I mean, to me, it's as simple as that. And Jill, to me, is not the kind of person that would, I think, hold a grudge against her sister Joy. And I also believe that Jill's the kind of person that knows that she's going to use every window of opportunity to try to reach her siblings. And so even if her presence is enough to show you that Joy is crossing a boundary, this is Joy crossing this by saying, I'm going to have Jill at my house regardless of what's going on with the family, right? And she has this at her house, not at the Duggars' house. It's a neutral location, so it's safe for Jill to go. So I think good on Jill, right? She loves Joy. She loves her siblings. She'll be there. Derek was not there. Maybe he's working. I didn't know. It was hard to tell like what time of day this was. Derek works in Oklahoma, like 45 minutes away, so he could have just been busy. Okay, so gender reveal, she's having a boy. Not a lot to say about that beyond that. Okay. So then Jill posts a video a couple days ago, and she's like showing that they had a backsplash placed in their kitchen. So they bought a house in Siloam Springs, which is sort of like on the border of Arkansas and Oklahoma. And it's like 45 minutes from where Derek works. And it's about 45 minutes from where the Duggars live. And she bought this house, but the kitchen they felt needed to be updated. So they had the cabinets painted, and then the last step for them was to have this backsplash put in. And people were shocked because they saw Joseph there. So Joseph was putting in subway tiles and a backsplash into the kitchen, and people were shocked that she was using Joseph as a person to do the work for her. Here's what I'll say. I reached out to someone that knows Joseph and knows the Duggars, and I'll say this. Like, Joseph, even though he works for his dad, he was, stood up to his dad when it came to Paul Caldwell. So when it came to Paul Caldwell and his dad having a falling out about the church, their arguments about services and disagreements about, the direction of the church and the control of the church, he did not take his dad's side. He took Paul's side. And he stayed at Paul's church. On top of that, even though he had built a home for himself and Kendra, he apparently had felt so bad about what happened to Paul getting thrown out by Jim Bob that he gave the house that he built for him and Kendra to his father-in-law and his mother-in-law. So he has taken steps to show that even if I work for Jim Bob, I have my own brain. That's what this guy that I talked to said. That Joseph has the cognizance to, like, if he doesn't agree with Jim Bob, he'll say something. And he definitely didn't agree when it comes to Paul Caldwell. And when it comes to Josh, he may not agree with his dad as well. He's never made a public statement either way. He was not going to be a witness for Josh. He doesn't work with Josh. So he's one of the brothers that didn't have like an immediate connection to Josh. He has sold properties for Anna, which is a little bit problematic. But at the end of the day, he's a little bit more, I was told, humble. than some of the other boys. And if Joseph can go and work with Jill, what it tells me is that Joe is not buying what his dad is selling, that Jill is dangerous. He's not buying anymore that Jill is the problem. He's not buying that she's the one that lied, right? He's probably with Jill in that he realizes that she's not the problem. And then for Jill, it just gives her an opportunity to have space with a brother that might have questions and might have thoughts. I think Jill's going to use any opportunity she can to bridge gaps and to help them see that there's another way outside of all of this chaos with the Duggars. So I think it's a good step forward. They're still family, and no matter what we think of them, you can't change who your family is. You can set boundaries and you can say, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, or I can't have a relationship here or there. But at the end of the day, they're still family. Like, you don't get another dad, you don't get another set of brothers. Like, they are who they are. So hopefully some of the brothers might be waking up. Jill has Joseph there. Jill's going over to Joy's house, and then Joy on her Instagram basically says that she is closest to her sisters Jana and Jinger. And that's who she speaks to the most. And then when someone asked if she was excited or planned to read Ginger's new book, which is going to be about the IBLP and about Bill Gothard and living under the fear of the IBLP, Joy said that she couldn't wait to read the book. So in a subtle way, she endorses the book that her sister Ginger is writing and is eager to read it, meaning she's open to hearing what Ginger has to say. Now, Ginger is a Reformed Baptist under the theology of John MacArthur, and Joy and Austin are still fundamentalist Baptists, but they're not, I don't believe, part of the IBLP, because Austin didn't really he was sort of involved with it, but not really. And they've sort of distanced themselves from that side of things in the most recent years. They still go to church with the Duggars, but I don't think they're as involved with the IBLP as they once used to be. And we've seen Joy sort of separate from some of the most strict beliefs. You know, the kids get to watch TV, and she wears pants, and she works, and, you know, there's just some things that she's doing with the kids that are very different. They're not as isolated as she was growing up. So Joy's sort of taking her own step, and you don't leave this kind of world all at once. It's a gradual process. So that's good news. Joy is also not spending Thanksgiving with the Duggars. She's going to go down to Texas like she usually does with Austin and his family. So now that we're caught up with Joy supporting Ginger, which is an amazing step, and it's another sort of, I'm not going to just go with what my father says. I have my own opinions. I don't need to be the damage control for the family. That's what that said to me. Now Josh's appeal has been literally smacked down by the federal U.S. attorneys. He's appealing on a number of reasons, and he's trying to claim that there's all these different excuses for why he needs a new trial. One is that he argued that he wasn't allowed to call Caleb Williams. And another was that he said that they took his phone and didn't let him call an attorney, and they illegally questioned him outside of an attorney, and they have all these excuses. And then there's the James Futrell, a forensic expert in the United States Department of Justice, doesn't have the capacity to properly determine metadata and geolocations of photographs. So obviously these arguments were already argued in court, and some of them he didn't even object to, or he objected to and they were overruled, or they were arguments he had already tried to fight before the case went to trial, and the court, according to U.S. prosecutors, ruled correctly. What it comes down to is the government basically said in the appeal that while they understand that Josh deserves a right to argue, they said that it's a baseless appeal. He has no legal grounds for this appeal, and that the court should deny the appeal. They have all the reasons why listed in the 59-page brief, which you can download over on Pacer. One thing they called out was that Josh was going to try to, he's arguing that, you know, he couldn't point the finger at Caleb Williams. They pointed out the following. They said, before trial, Duggar pointed to 3 alternative perpetrators, William Mize, Joshua Williams, and Randall Berry. Duggar withdrew his allegation against Joshua Williams after the government pointed out that one of Duggar's own attorneys had represented Josh Williams in a criminal matter that resulted in him being held in custody during May of 2019. By the start of trial, Duggar floated a new name, Caleb Williams, a former wholesale motor cars employee. As with Duggar's other suspects, none of the government's interviews nor any of the forensic examination placed Mr. Williams on the car lot in the dates in question in May of 2019. So they basically stated that Josh was using all of these arguments to try to say that he was there in March of 2019, but he literally was not there. And so Josh is saying, well, I wasn't allowed to call him. And their argument is that they were allowed to call them. He just couldn't throw up speculation for the sake of speculating. And then they shared a ton of arguments of how in this circuit and in the court and under the Supreme Court, they have not allowed people to just throw in a third party without actual, like, verifiable proof. They can't speculate to confuse the jury. And they actually said that he could have called him, but they said that even if you were to give him a new trial and say they did this all wrong, that Caleb would testify the following: that he left Jed Duggar's car lot on May 11th, stopped in St. Louis and got a new iPhone, which we have the receipt and the Apple representative here verifying that he was there. He then drove to his mother's house in Illinois on May 11th. On May 12th, Mother's Day, we have his mother here who said, by the way, I took video of him, which we turned over the stills. Moving furniture, which she will identify. Then on May 13th, he does engraving. I mentioned that this is a huge machine. It's only in Illinois. That his mom will verify also that he is in Illinois this entire time frame. It corroborates exactly what he said all the way down to the 16th, where he left as a family in a van for a wedding. He's in Missouri getting a new iPhone. There's a receipt. He's with his mom moving things. He's using an engraving machine that's in Illinois, and then he's at a wedding with his family. He was literally never there. And they said that there was a single narrow restriction that the court said that they could not use him as an alternative perpetrator without, like, he couldn't introduce the prior conviction without him first establishing a minimal connection between Williams and any of the events that were relevant to the charged offensive. And because he couldn't, he made the decision not to call him. Long story short, Williams is just one more person that he is trying to blame, okay? There's also these arguments about all of the different, the questioning and the, was he in custody? He wasn't. He was free to leave. Was he denied a right to an attorney? No, because he wasn't in custody. Did they take his phone while he asked to speak to an attorney? No. Was the DOJ expert qualified to talk about metadata? Yes. And they told Josh's team well before trial that that's what he would be testifying to. But the appeal was best summed up by their final paragraph, which said, abundant evidence established that Joshua Duggar downloaded CSAM on a partition he set up using his recurring password on his computer in his office on the premise of his car lot. The district court correctly declined to suppress his non-custodial statements to investigators and appropriately limited his questioning of both putative alternative perpetrator who was in a different state at the time the offense conduct and an expert witness who acknowledged having never analyzed the metadata about which she sought to testify. So he was mad that Michelle Bush's testimony about the metadata was left out, but she admitted she never evaluated the metadata. So then he was trying to point fingers at Petrell. Anyways, he says, but even if each of these evidentiary rulings had gone the other way, any rational jury would still have convicted Duggar. He has never offered a plausible, exonerative explanation for the events of May 2019. And his efforts to scapegoat an uninvolved third party and create an irrelevant methodological dispute cast no doubt, much less a reasonable one, on his guilt. He has never provided a reasonable or plausible exonerative explanation. He has never been able to say without a shadow of a doubt how it wasn't him. He's only been able to scapegoat, deflect, pull red herrings, and try to claim that he's been victimized by the police. They are saying that Duggar should only be given 15 minutes for oral arguments and say that once oral arguments are complete, that his appeal should be denied. Based on the totality of this appeal, which again, you can download completely on Pacer, I would say that Josh has no chance of getting out. The appeal will not be overturned, in my opinion. These were all things that were already well established and are just, again, Josh not taking any accountability. And it's a waste of time, it's a waste of resources, and it's a waste of Jim Bob's money. So Josh Duggar gets smacked down by the government in his appeal. We'll have to wait until he actually has the oral arguments and see what comes from this, but I don't expect that he'll be getting out in a new trial anytime soon. All right, you guys, tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye.